not the name of this podcast. It's the Spoilercast, the show we talk about movies so we don't care about spoiling them because it is the Spoilercast.
It's in the title.
Yes, I am Tobias, of course, as always, and with me is my sister and trusted co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. And today we finally get to talk about Edgar Wright's latest creation. We saw it almost a week ago. But, timing was unfortunate, so we had to wait until now to talk about it, since we are committed to this podcast.
Yes.
So today we are talking about Last Night in Soho. Fucking finally. If you want to support this show, first of all, we're glad if you're listening to it, telling your friends about it. But there's also, somewhere around here, links are everywhere, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on any of all the major podcast platforms where we're available. There are links to our Patreon page, where you will not only get an extra episode every week, you will also get early access to my other podcast, Madness in the Method, and you will get commentary tracks, early access to videos, and a bunch of other stuff. So check that out if you got the money to spare. It's just $3 a month. But other than that, let's get on with the show.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't know.
Well,
how do you want to start this?
We both agree that we both like this movie.
Well, yeah. Okay. Is that how we're starting it?
Yes, this is how we're starting it today. So, what exactly did you think of it? Because I know you liked it, but
I liked it.
Elaborate.
I liked it a lot. I was honestly a little worried that I wouldn't like it, and not that I wouldn't like it, but it wouldn't be as good as it should be, if that makes any sense. Because we talked about this in our last episode. Well, the last 3 episodes we talked about the Cornetto trilogy, and we both agreed that even though the last one, The World's End, is not as good as the 2 first ones, it's still an amazing trilogy, and all 3 are above top tier movies, basically.
Yes.
But then in the Patreon episode this Monday, we talked about his non-Cornetto movies, Scott Pilgrim vs. World and Baby Driver. And those projects are ones that he's written by himself or with someone else other than Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
And we talked about how, even though those movies are still meticulously and beautifully directed and edited with the music and everything, they lack a certain something when it comes to the writing. And
yes.
we theorized that maybe it's, Simon Pegg that brings that little extra bit of humanity to the script. That is, it's not a completely emotionless script in either of those movies, but it's different.
Lacking that little extra
something is missing.
Or something.
And so I was worried that this would be the same thing, and looking at the Metascore, this is his lowest scored movie so far, I think.
Yeah.
At least, there's the one movie we haven't talked about that he made before Shaun of the Dead, but that one technically doesn't count. It's a whole movie thing. So it doesn't have a Metascore. But this one, because you have it up, right? It's like a 62?
It's a 65.
65. And that is much lower than even his lowest scored movie to date, which is, I think it's Shaun of the Dead, right? On a 70-something.
Yeah, everything else is at 70 at least.
Yeah, and the highest ones are an 86 or something, 81 or 86. He's always scored very high. And I gotta say, after having seen it, I don't understand why this isn't scored as high as the other ones, or at least the mid-70s.
No, I thought this would be 80s, at least.
Yeah, because
this is probably, honestly, my favorite of his movies now.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't go that far, but it is a very good movie.
No, I think it might be because I've only seen it once, and I've seen the Cornetto trilogy millions of times, basically.
Many times, yeah.
I might just be, this is new and fresh, and I like this more. I don't know. But I very much liked it. It's great. And it's It's him plus
Oh
that
yeah.
thing that's missing from the ones he wrote himself.
Oh, you
Because in
think?
this one, he has a screenplay help by Christy Wilson Cairns, I think you say.
Oh, okay. I
So he's
actually
not right. He
actually
didn't
hadn't
write
looked that
this
up.
all on his own, which is perhaps what's needed, as we mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I just my quick, and we should say that the first part of this, we'll try to stay away from spoilers since it is
Yes.
a new movie. It's a very anticipated movie, or at least it was very anticipated by us.
Yeah.
So we'll stay away from any major spoilers in the first half, whatever. I don't know. We'll tell you when we start talking about spoilers,
Spoiling.
because there are some big spoilers we got to talk about towards the end of the
Yes.
movie.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but it is a spoiler cast, so you should be prepared.
I've been warned.
You haven't warned, but we'll tell you once we're gonna start talking about spoilers. But I gotta say that I still think that this movie, just like Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver, suffers from that. Well, now I'm just thinking about it. Maybe it isn't that it's suffering from a lack of like an emotional core. It's just that it's different from Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and
I think
World's
that's
End.
what's bothering
And
you more.
yeah, those three are very specifically like written.
Yes,
They are
definitely.
buddy movies written by like two friends involving a third friend, because they're all like, especially Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are like they've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
So them always playing friends in the movies, and writing the movies together with Edgar Wright, who's also their friend, it adds something very special to them, and I love a good bromance.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe it's just that I'm judging these movies against that, which is very special. So I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, maybe it is. I just thought I'd right now, because I say it's not like Shaun of the Dead. Of course, it's not like Shaun of the Dead. That's very
It's a
specific.
completely different movie.
Yeah, sure. But I still think, I don't know. This is definitely, yeah. I think this is better than both Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver.
Oh yes. I mean, Baby Driver has some amazing filming and editing when it comes to the music cues
Yeah.
and how everything is timed to music.
Yeah, and I just gotta say something. It's kind of funny. We completely neglected to mention all the action sequences when we talked, because we were so wrapped up in the writing that we forgot to mention that some of the greatest car chases of like the 2010s are in that movie.
Yes,
But
definitely.
that kind of goes without saying, because it's a movie about driving. So,
Obviously.
yeah. But I thought of that the other day. Like, we didn't even talk about the car chases.
We talked about it a lot though, so
yeah.
that just because like you said, that's kind of obvious.
It's kind of obvious.
Really
It's
good.
like, especially that first one. It's probably
Yes.
one of the best action sequences in this decade. It's amazing, that driving. Anyway,
And no, I have to mention, because I looked up some videos and like interviews with Edgar Wright, and he had to mention his favorite scenes in his movies. That one is definitely one.
for like Vanity Fair or something.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah. One of those when they draw on the screen with the pen.
Yeah.
I saw
And he
that.
pointed out that scene is like, it's more or less just what it is. They've added a few tiny details to make it match the beats even more, but
Yeah.
it's not a lot. They literally managed to choreograph it so perfectly.
Mm-hmm. It's insane. Yeah.
It's magical almost. But I'm apart from that part of Baby Driver, Last Night in Soho is better in my opinion.
Okay.
Because it has a better story, it has better characters.
I think so too.
It still has some of those minute details, both in music cues and other cues.
Yeah.
And just details in general. I mentioned one thing when we sat in the theater. Trying to get you to notice that detail, but apparently not a lot of people noticed that. Because he usually has, not usually, but he has sometimes like creepy twins in his movies.
Yeah.
And he did it in Last Night in Soho as well.
Oh yeah.
But not how you expected it. You know, in the first sequence that you see in the trailer, when you see Thomasin McKenzie from one point of view, and then you see Anya Taylor-Joy from one point of view, and they like hang off their coat, and this I don't know what you call him, dude gets their coat for
Yeah,
them.
the coat checker
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
that's twins.
Oh, because of the
It's
mirror
the
stuff.
it's the guys who play the Weasley twins.
Oh, yeah, you said that. Oh,
Yeah,
is that one of the Weasley boys? I was like, I don't know who they are. I
but
don't
then
fucking know.
it's actually both of them.
Oh, sure, yeah, because they're twins. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and they didn't film that stuff like too much through a mirror.
yeah.
It's actually
Yes. So let's
two people.
let's talk about, because we don't want a bunch of angry Ghostbusters fans saying that, oh, we're just complaining. Let's actually talk about the technical stuff.
Oh yes.
Because once again, we've said this now about every movie that we talked about of Edgar Wright's. It is so insanely meticulously directed.
Yes.
Every frame is like pitch perfect. It is such a beautiful movie to watch.
Yes.
And then watching that thing you talked about when you talked about how they achieved some of those dream sequences in Last Night in Soho, the fact that so much of it is achieved in camera and very, very little of it is like CGI or green screen, it made it even more insane. Like,
Yeah.
you've seen in the trailers, like, there's no spoiler. The story is Thomas and Mackenzie comes to London from a suburb somewhere out in the country,
Out in the country, yeah.
North England. So she's the country girl coming to the big city
To study
attend
fashion.
art, fashion, design.
London Fashion School.
Yes,
I
yes,
think.
yes. And she gets a room on, was it Hodge Street, Dudge Street, something,
Hodge Street, I think.
something like
she,
that.
she rents this room from an old lady.
Yeah, and when she lies down to go to sleep, she has these super vivid dreams of London in the 60s, which is her
Yes.
favorite decade. Like, she loves all the music and the art from there, and the
fashion.
fashion. Yeah, but she's like,
She sees it through the eyes of
yeah, and that's
someone else.
yeah, well, that's kind of interesting because in the trailers they're kind of showing it like, she becomes this character,
Yes.
whatever her name is, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Sandy, right? Alexandra, Sandy.
Yeah.
But when you actually see the movie, she's kind of like following this person. She doesn't actually see it from her eyes. She's always like in the background. And
Well, in the beginning, she's sort of her mirror.
yeah. She's
That
always
kind of evolves.
you know what it is. It's kind of dreamlike. So you're
Yeah,
not really
it's
sure if
kinda
it's
dreamlike.
if she actually is that person or following that person. You
Yeah.
don't really know. That's
Much like in your dreams, you don't
Yeah.
really know how you see things.
yeah, part of that wonderful direction that it actually feels dreamlike. But
Yes.
you usually see Anya Taylor-Joy and her doing the same like movements in mirrors and stuff. But it's not like a CGI mirror. They're actually there doing very choreographed moves together to make it look like they are each other's mirror images.
One of them that you see in the trailer is the dance scene.
Yeah. Yes, there's a dance scene
Apparently,
when
there's no cuts in it.
there are no hidden cuts. It is just Matt Smith dancing with both of them and them ducking under the camera or behind Matt
running
Smith.
around the camera.
Yeah,
and stuff.
literally, as he calls it, the Texas Switch.
Yeah.
Um,
But like even more than what you're used to, because Texas Switch is usually just like, oh, someone ducks
one
behind
switch,
something,
yeah.
and then someone else pops up and does the stunt or whatever.
Yeah,
No, they do it like 2 or 3 times.
several times. It's a long dance sequence, and
that's
these
true.
like really meticulous Steadicam moves around them.
Yeah.
That is actually not done by a machine to like, because they did a couple match cuts.
Yeah.
So
when
there's a
they're, like,
little bit of
twirling too
trickery.
fast.
Yeah. But even that was done like by hand. It wasn't a robot arm doing the movements to copy it. He
No,
just
their
did the same move.
cameraman
The cameraman did the same
so-
move. Yeah.
Perfectly trained so he can do the exact same movement.
Yeah. So it's 3 people dancing like they were 2.
Yeah.
And it's flawlessly executed.
So
I thought
perfect.
it was CGI. I thought it was like green
cuts.
screen and cuts. Yeah, hidden cuts.
Yeah.
No, it's all one long take. It is insane. And there are scenes like
Yes.
that all over the movie where people
yes.
like appear in mirrors and she sees things and it's all done like, with in-camera trickery, which is so amazing to see. And even though this isn't Baby Driver, the whole movie is edited to music, and his other movies aren't all completely edited to music, but many of the scenes are, like specific scenes
Yes.
are. Here's same thing. A lot of the music like is perfectly integrated into the scenes. It is.
Yes.
Ah.
I found out through one of those videos I watched that apparently, like 10 years ago, he started a playlist that he called like Last Night in Soho or something,
Okay.
just to, whenever he heard one of these songs, it would remind him to write this script.
Nice.
So he's been working on this for a while, and he had specific songs in mind to keep that aesthetic.
Well, yeah, kind of like you did on Baby Driver.
Yeah. I think it was this one at least he had for 10 years. I'm not sure if it was 10 years, but he had it for a while.
That sounds like the Baby Driver though, because
He
Baby
had both
Driver.
on playlists, but I think he had it for a while. I'm not sure if
Okay,
it was this one was 10
because
years,
Baby
but
Driver
whatever.
is kind of funny. I found out that after once again after we did our episode about it, because I knew he had worked on the script for like 7 or 10 years, starting basically after Hot Fuzz, like writing his next action movie, but it took a long time.
Yeah.
But I actually found out that he started writing that in 1997, where he had the idea for like a car chase movie edited to music, and
Okay.
then he told his producer about it around 2004 when they were making Shaun of the Dead, and he actually got paid to write the script, in like 2007 or something. But the movie wasn't actually finished until 2017, so you get paid 10 years in advance.
Nice.
There's some thank you note in the end in the credits of Baby Driver about that, but whatever.
Yeah. No, but he did have this one as well for a long time, and he sent the playlist to Christy Wilson Cairns to help, so she could have the same
Okay.
like mood to write
Okay, well
the
then
things she
that is
used to
very
write.
similar to Baby Driver because
Yeah.
he gave an iPod to all the actors with specific playlists to listen to while they read the script. 'Cause,
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, so quickly just you get most of the story from the trailer. I mean, not the actual story, but you get the premise.
Yes.
Like
The
she
base.
she keeps having these dreams every night, but eventually it's like it becomes even more like realistic. It's like the dreams are bleeding into her waking life.
And like they say in the like tagline on IMDb, the glamour is not all that it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker.
Yeah. Because we find out that this Sandy character that she's following, she's not quite what we thought she was.
No.
If that makes her sound, it's not that she's sinister, but her fate is not what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, what we see in the beginning is definitely not what happens eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about two of the best young actresses living or working today in the same movie, in this amazing movie. Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy both have made some amazing stuff very early in their lives.
I'm trying to figure out where I've seen Thomasin before.
Thomasin McKenzie, I first saw her a few years ago in Leave No Trace,
Right.
I don't know what you call the post-war movie with Ben Foster. I loved that movie. It's one of my favorite movies, partially because I'm a big Ben Foster fan, but also because their chemistry was amazing, and just the script and the movie in general was amazing.
Yeah.
And after that, I think I saw her in some stuff here and there, but then of course the other big one is Jojo Rabbit from
Yes, that's where I saw
well
her.
for us last year, but technically 2019,
Yeah.
which is also amazing as the Jewish girl who hides in Jojo's
Yeah.
attic or the walls of Jojo's house. And of course Anya Taylor-Joy we know from The Witch, and
Yes.
Split, and I guess from Glass, even though that's not good, but she's good in it.
And a lot of people know her from The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, of course, she's done a
show.
bunch more, but I haven't seen more of her. I think other than those movies,
No.
not that comes to mind really.
No, I think it is Split and The Witch.
Yeah, those are the big ones. Because I didn't
Yeah.
watch The Queen's Gambit. I'm not into.
No, I haven't
TV
seen that
shows.
either. But I've seen her in clips and trailers from other things.
Yeah.
Partly then Emma, the New Mutants, and The Queen's Gambit. because she's Emma in Emma.
Yeah, yeah. I saw the I saw the like on the Netflix trailer for that. And it's, what is this movie? You're sitting and drinking tea and talking trash.
Yeah, I don't know what it is really.
Kind of funny because you know what her name in The Witch is? Thomasin. Thomasin.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Ooh, she was in Thoroughbreds. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's very good. I have it on like a list of movies to watch, but I haven't seen it yet. Anyway,
They are both definitely very good actors.
very good actors.
And they're only gonna go up from this, probably.
Yeah. They have both kind of their careers have really taken off in the last couple of years.
And this will only help.
Oh yes. Oh, well,
I hope so at least.
yeah. Let's talk about that though, because we should mention the other actors in this. You have Matt Smith, who
Obviously.
I really only know from Doctor Who, and I've watched Doctor Who, but I know he was the 6th Doctor or whatever. I know he became very popular because of that, but I've actually never seen him in a movie other than Terminator Genesis, where he plays the living embodiment of Skynet, and it's like he's in the movie for like 1 minute. So I've never been able to judge him as an actor, but he was.
No,
great.
I haven't seen too much of him either, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know he's in a few things, but I haven't seen them.
He is one of those actors that has kind of blown up, but I just haven't seen him in anything.
I think obviously his big break was as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I think it's lately, I think he played he played Philip in The Crown. Prince
Okay.
Philip.
Well, I haven't seen that, so.
So I think that's one of his other big ones.
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't been in anything that I have seen actually.
No, not really.
But he was also very great.
Ooh, he's in the House of the Dragon, the Targaryen spin-off prequel thing. Ooh, that'll be interesting. Well, not for you. Not for me.
I guess. Yeah, but you know, it was great because he starts out. I don't know if this is a spoiler. He starts out very, very charming.
Oh, yeah. As they all do.
Yeah, and even though like in the trailer, I think we get like a glimpse of him actually being like, they hint at him being like a bad guy.
Yeah, he seems a bit sinister of some sort.
Yeah, but you're not sure from the trailer. You're not sure if he is a bad guy or not. So he, in the movie, even when he's like in the beginning, when he's very charming and they're dancing and having fun, there's this sinister touch to his charm.
There's something about him. He's a bit creepy.
It's very well made because it's so subtle. You're like, this is a really cool guy, but there's something off with him. Something's weird, you know. And the same, well, I was gonna say the same thing with Terrence Stamp, which was fun to watch because I haven't seen him since like the Star Wars prequels. He played one of the chancellors in the first one, or the original, whatever the leader is of the Republic, whatever. He just played it super like. Scenery chewing evil almost.
Yeah.
Which, without spoiling anything, definitely worked to his advantage. We'll talk about that more in the spoiler section of this. There was no one, even like the smaller roles, like the other classmates.
The roommate.
They don't really have much to do. Yeah, let's talk about that. Because we only get to really know 2 of them. One is her roommate, and the other is the guy who's kind of the love interest.
John, yeah.
What's his name?
Well, the roommate, the guy is John Michael Ajahu. I don't know how to say your name. He's actually from Attack the Block. He's one of the kids.
Yeah, he's one of the little kids who's he has to go home, do your homework, watch
Mayhem.
Naruto. Yeah, Mayhem. Yeah. I just saw a picture of him like, oh shit, he's all grown up.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
No, I didn't when we saw it, but I saw a picture. I was looking it up, and I was like, oh, "Fuck, that's the kid from Attack the Block. That's awesome."
Yeah. But then we have Jocasta.
Jocasta, yes.
Who is Thomasin's character? She moves in for one night, I think, in like the dormitories.
Yeah.
And her roommate is Jocasta, just Jocasta, because it's cooler.
It's cooler, yeah, to not have a surname. It's her stage name, Jocasta.
Yeah.
and she is from the get-go. At first, you just think that she's maybe a little inconsiderate. Um,
Yeah. Or
uh,
just super hyped about starting
yeah,
school and meeting new people and stuff.
but as the movie goes on, she is like openly antagonistic
Yes.
towards Thomas and Mackenzie's character, Eloise.
Yeah, Ellie.
Ellie, yeah, and if there's one thing in this movie that's flawed, it's that, because it doesn't add anything to the movie. Other than,
Oh,
I guess,
it's
some levity here and there, but it's also kind of too mean-spirited at times.
I think it's only there to push Ellie's character away. Because we want her
Yeah,
to
I
be a
guess.
little bit of an outcast.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
to be honest, that's a spot on character for someone who studies fashion in
Oh,
London.
I can imagine. Yeah, yeah. You
A
studied
couple of
fashion
those in
in
my
London.
class.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a couple of those in my class.
Yeah, well, the fashion people can be very peculiar, so.
Yes. They can be
And
very strange
and I
and
gotta say,
special.
even though it felt like sometimes you're like, oh, why do we need to have another scene with Jocasta? Every time she was on screen, it was, it got a reaction.
Yeah.
And you did laugh because she was just so almost like comically evil sometimes. She's like,
Yes.
what is she doing?
She's a classic, just like bitchy girl.
Yeah, yeah,
She just wants to be better and more known than anyone else. And as soon as someone has something going for them, she has to like push them down or top them somehow.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, just like with the other movies, like that is really the only flaw in this movie. That Jocasta
Yeah.
feels a little
Little too
unnecessary,
much.
a little too much. But that's the, I mean, that's the only thing I can complain about. There's nothing
Yeah.
else really. Like the acting, the editing, the directing, the set design and
Oh
the
my
costume
god.
design.
Oh,
I'll let you talk about that since
yeah.
you like that kind of stuff more.
Regarding the set design, they actually filmed it all in Soho.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, that's
They close
amazing.
down streets and stuff at night to because most of it takes place at night.
Yes.
When they're in Soho, like outside.
Yeah. Yeah. The more the movie goes on, the more of it takes place during the night because she becomes obsessed with experiencing these dreams. So her waking time is basically just waiting for night.
Yeah, and those few shots are basically in school, so
Yeah.
that's a studio or they rented the school. I don't know. But the outside shots at night are in Soho. They just had, extras in timely pieces, and they had like cars flown in, and they changed some of the details. They put up the was it Thunderball
Yeah, the
poster?
huge Thunderball banner.
Ah,
So cool.
he actually tried or was thinking about changing it to oh no, I don't remember which one it was. Some space movie. But after I think it was Tarantino or some and someone else saw like that clip where the Thunderball poster was in it, they were like, "I
Yeah.
love the Thunderball poster." He's like, "Shit, I have to change it back."
Yeah.
But it's perfect,
Oh yes.
and the fashion is always also perfect. I mean, you don't see too much of it. You see the ones that Anya Taylor-Joy wears mostly
Yeah, you
when
see
it
some
comes to the
background
60s.
people. Yeah.
Some background people, but that's not a lot. But it's
No.
beautiful and it's so detailed and it's so actually like perfect for the 60s.
Oh
It's
yeah.
there's a word for it. I can't think of the word. Whatever.
I don't know.
I want to say timely, but that's not the word I want to use.
No,
'cause
it's I guess era accurate.
yeah, I guess.
You
Yeah,
can
it's
say.
accurate.
Yeah.
It's just oh, I love it. And then you have the translation or the transition of the 60 fashion that Eloise experiences in her
Yeah,
dreams
because she starts taking inspiration from her dreams to create
into her
like
fashion
like
school
modern
projects.
iterations of it. Well, at the first she's just copying what she's
Yeah.
seen Sandy wear.
Well, you do that sometimes. You have
Sure,
to
sure.
like copy to get the feel of it, and then you can make alterations to make it your thing.
Oh,
I
sure,
suppose.
sure.
It's just
Yeah, it's
there's so many details in all of it.
yeah.
How do you even think of like putting every single detail into it? They didn't miss a thing. Nothing.
Yeah,
down to like nail polish.
Yeah, and that's what I wonder as well. How can you spend so much time on minute details and fucking messing around and like jerking around with like every little down to like the smallest grain of sand have to be perfect, and then also have a compelling story with interesting characters that is perfectly paced throughout the 100-minute runtime or 110-minute runtime. Like, how? Because you have a bunch of usually it's like you have a director who really only cares about characters. So you have a movie where maybe like the background stuff doesn't really, maybe doesn't fit, or like there are continuity issues and stuff, but it's not important because the characters are so well written, Or you have a super technical directors like Ridley Scott, like he can do great movies overall, but his like biggest flawed movies are still very technically proficient. Like, I hate the story in Blade Runner, but oh my god, it's a beautifully made movie. Here, though, you have both of that. You have both of those who care. The director who cares about character and story, and the director who cares about the minutiae and detail of the set design and everything, and the direction. He does both flawlessly. It's insane.
I mean, he did hire the right people for everything.
Sure,
as well.
I mean, yeah, of course. Like that's part of good directing, to hire the right people to help you realize your vision. Definitely.
Yes.
Which he also mentions, like that he could never have done it without his team, and that is something like the whole auteur thing. Like, the director is, he does everything else. That's not how it works. But good directing involves hiring the right people, finding who actually works the best for your material.
Yeah.
And he does that. It's picture perfect almost. Every time.
This one is even more perfect in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's just because, I mean, this story speaks to me more than the buddy stories that you liked with his other movies.
Sure, yeah.
So it just adds it to me, of course.
Should we move into like spoilers now? Because I don't want to talk too much about specific scenes or details.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time saying stuff that's not spoiler.
Yeah. So let's, for anyone who doesn't want to hear spoilers, should we? We don't really score movies, but
no, but like a final thing is go watch it.
Oh yeah, definitely go watch it. And
amazing.
Yeah, and watch it in the cinema.
Yeah,
it is one of those movies because of all the great set design and all the music and everything.
You need a big picture. But be careful so you don't end up sick like we are.
Yes. I'm definitely better today, but like
it's still there.
Specifically Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Oh, dude, I was deathly ill. I think we must have both caught a cold from someone in there.
Probably.
No fever or anything, so not corona,
no, it's
but
just,
it was
runny nose,
definitely a nasty
throat.
cold.
So be safe, but definitely go watch it.
That's what happens when you're in quarantine for 18 months. You don't have an immune system anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, check it out. Amazing movie. It's like a strong 8, almost maybe even a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'll probably put a 9 on if I have to score it.
Yeah. So from here on out, spoilers. Huge spoiler warning. We will be talking about spoilers. Specific scenes, we will be talking about the ending of the movie.
Yes.
So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, turn it off now. Go watch the movie and then come back and watch the rest of this. Or listen to the rest of this.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have to click off.
Bye-bye. Check out the Patreon link. And now the spoilers start.
Yes.
Do you have any specific scenes you want to discuss?
Where do you start?
Well,
I mean... No, you go. I don't know where to start.
Okay, so one of the things that I initially thought they were like hammering home a little too hard in the script was the whole thing that like the past isn't as glamorous as we think of it. We only think of the good parts of the past. We don't actually think of how bad it was. And I thought they were going to be much more on the nose about that. Because the story, it turns out that she's in love with... Thomasin McKenzie's character is in love with 60s culture in general, music, fashion,
Yes.
everything, especially London, since she's British.
Yeah.
And so all she does is listen to old vinyls and wear the kind of the 60s clothes. She usually makes her own like 60s inspired fashion and wears. So then when she actually gets to go into these super vivid dreams in the 60s, she's so like, oh my god, it's magical, She,
She's starstruck, basically.
yeah, she changes her hair to look more like Sandy, Anna Taylor-Joy's character. And she wants to buy the same clothes. One of the
She does
she
end
does
up buying.
yeah, one of the better scenes when she looks up this PVC coat.
Trench coat.
Yeah, and is about to buy some dress as well. And then when she's a student, so she doesn't have any money. So when the cashier at this, it's like a vintage store, she's like, that'll be £375. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? Or something.
Yeah.
It was just because she's a very timid character, but then there's just what the fuck?
She almost steals it at first, so
Yeah.
she's a bit embarrassed and like, okay, I have to buy it now.
Yeah.
And then, oh shit, that's all my
yeah.
money.
But then it turns out, of course, that Matt Smith is not just this nice guy who'll use his connections to make Sandy famous in the nightclub world of Soho. He's
She
actually
wants to become a nightclub singer.
he's basically a pimp.
Oh yes.
Like at first she has to do like these kind of burlesque shows, and that basically turns into her sleeping with gross dudes.
Yeah,
For money.
Rich men who want.
Well, not even rich men, just people who hang out in
Well,
Soho, I
yeah, I
suppose.
suppose. But most of them, because he says it's like, but they'll make you famous.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
So
They're
how
just,
do you mean?
yeah, that's just something he says to make her keep doing it.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was gonna become this. I don't know, not like men are bad, women are good story, but it's gonna be a little too on the nose. That you have entertainment business dudes taking advantage of young women who are trying to get into the business. The whole Me Too thing about Harvey Weinstein and stuff.
Story, so to speak.
Yeah. And but it.
I mean, it was that a little bit.
Oh, it definitely is, and it is about that.
Yes.
But I think they in the end it's still Eloise is still in love with the 60s, the style of the 60s in the end, but she has a more mature view of the past. Like you can't just.
She can handle it better.
Yeah, she knows.
Well, we should mention that she has this ability of some sort. Because she can see her dead mother in mirrors.
That's also something that they don't quite.
They don't really
flesh out.
Tell us, but they don't really have to.
I think that's also a little bit of a red herring that we're supposed to think. Is she, because they hint at her mother actually being like mentally unstable. Because
they tell us.
Yeah, because her mother also went to not to fashion school. She just went to London, right? She
went to London, and it was just too much for her. She couldn't take all the impressions.
Yeah,
and she went insane, and eventually she killed herself.
Yeah. So Eloise now living with her grandma.
They kind of fear that that's going to happen to her as well.
Yeah, because they hint that in the beginning that she's had similar problems because she keeps seeing her dead mother and talking to her dead mother, and they've even talked to therapists or whatever they're called.
Shrinks.
Shrinks. Yeah, about this. So the grandma is kind of worried that she is going to the same place where her mom killed herself, and she might have inherited this mental instability.
Problem.
Yeah. So I think that's there only so we're supposed to question is she actually seeing these dreams? Is she actually having these visions that they are? Or is she just crazy? Because that's what, that's the classic horror movie thing.
Yes.
Nobody believes me. They think I'm crazy. But it's actually happening. But here they go a step further. So even the us as an audience are kind of questioning: is she actually seeing it, or is she just crazy?
And I mean, even if she is seeing it, no one's gonna believe her because what she's seeing happened in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no way she can prove it
Yeah,
unless there's like, I don't know, newspaper clippings or something of it. But
yeah. But the whole thing that she actually talks to her mother and she sees her mother in the mirrors, it's almost too little of that in the movie to justify it, but it works.
yeah,
I wish we saw a little more of her, but not too much that she's like too involved in the story or something like that.
no.
It's
'Cause
just
it would have been weird if she like sat down and had conversations with her
yeah,
mother about what
exactly,
happened. No,
exactly. So
because
it's in there
she's
just enough.
she's supposed to be more or less just a figment of her imagination, I suppose. This is her
Yeah,
comfort that she can talk to her dead mother.
yeah. But then she is having these visions, and
Yes,
it turns out in the end, that the visions are real and they are specific to the house that she lives in.
yes,
So she has some sort of connection to the other
definitely.
side or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because she sees other ghosts
yeah,
all around London after a while.
yeah. Um, but yeah, going back to the whole all the men are evil, all the women
Yes,
are victims. They don't go too far with it. Like that is obviously an inequality.
yeah,
It was definitely even now, but definitely more in the
even
'60s,
more back then.
obviously. So it worked.
Yes,
And it never became, like I said, it never became too on the nose. Like this is an allegory for Hollywood now. No, it
no,
never felt like they were. He wasn't like wagging his finger in our face, like trying to make some sort of point. Instead,
no.
it was for the story.
Yeah, and it's proven even more because the modern scenes have nothing of that.
No, exactly. Like
All the men in the modern scene, except for one creepy cab driver, but that
yeah,
happens.
I think that's also like to throw us on the wrong track in the
Yeah,
start.
because
Like,
it's in the beginning.
oh, it's gonna be one of those, but he's only there in the beginning,
Yeah,
and he also kind of disappears, and it might just be her being oversensitive. Like he says some
yeah.
creepy stuff like, "Oh, I'm gonna be your first stalker when you're famous," which is a weird
Which,
thing to
yeah,
say, but it might just be that he's still bad at joking
yeah.
because he never stalks her. He's never in the movie again.
I mean, he does sit and wait for her to come back to the cab, but that could also be just because he wants to have the money of driving her
Yeah,
to
exactly.
the actual location. It doesn't
Um,
have to be that he's actually a creep.
no, exactly, and
And, older men are kind of taktlösa.
uh, yeah.
I don't know
Um,
how to
I don't
translate that.
know how to call it. Yeah,
um, when it comes to talking to young women, so like they don't know exactly how to word things
yeah.
without sounding too
They
creepy.
don't have the millennial sensibilities,
Yeah.
and
So
also
what they
millennials are a
find
little too
charming,
yeah, might come off as a little brutish
yeah,
nowadays. Which
specifically to a young woman alone in a strange city.
yeah, which is also like that's also part of the script. Like how different times are now and then. And we're having a little break here. Yeah, I
I
can't
was
hear you.
gonna.
That was why.
Sorry.
As soon as you moved your mouth away from the microphone and just stopped picking you up.
I was trying not to cough into the mic.
Oh, okay. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely like there's a reason for it and it works.
yes,
But
yes.
you have other male characters who are definitely not like that, who are more of the millennial way that you called
Oh
it.
yeah, like the love interest.
What? Excuse me.
Who is
John.
he is um without being obnoxious, he is very like considerate. He is the typical like I don't know.
Perfect boyfriend in a movie.
Yeah, but without
He's
being
almost too
obnoxious.
perfect.
Yeah. No, I don't think I never thought he was like a red herring. Like he's
No, no,
actually an
no.
insane murderer.
No, not like that. It's just he lacks a bit of dimension
I don't.
in some cases.
I didn't think he. I think they wanted to write a genuinely nice person, without making him like too saccharine or like make him too like lame, basically. Because if you're too nice, you're just lame. I'm sorry.
But a really nice person would still look at her and be like, "Are you sure you're not just crazy?" When she tells him what she tells him.
Well, he does kind of look at her that way in the library scene. He was like, okay,
Yeah, I guess
we
that's true.
better, like, get you somewhere. He's very understanding at first, but when she almost, like, in a fit of insanity, almost
Yeah.
kills Jocasta with a scissors.
She almost stabs her in the head.
Yeah, because she keeps seeing ghosts everywhere, and he manages to grab her hand. He's like,
Just
okay, we're just gonna
calm down.
slowly back away.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but there's
But he always kind of goes along with what she's saying, and I'm like, he should have just like, hold on, can we talk about this before we start running off and doing things? Which he doesn't really do. He's just fine, sure, I'll help you. Whatever you need, I'll help you.
yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
he could have had a moment where he's like, stop. But
that was I noticed that, but it didn't bother me.
nah, it didn't bother me too much.
What I
It's just
liked
now
about,
that I'm thinking of it.
yeah, sure. What I liked about him was that he had a lot of the male ally or the male feminist traits,
Yes.
but he was actually genuine
Yes.
about it. He wasn't just doing it to keep up appearances. He was a genuine good guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't just what do you call it? Ögontjänare. He wasn't just, yeah, like I said, he wasn't just doing it to look good, like, oh, I'm the nice one. No, he was a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
So I like that character. That's a well written character instead of just being like nice on the surface, you know.
Yeah. And it's also very good juxtaposition to
Matt Smith's character.
Yeah, Matt Smith's character.
I don't remember what his name is, but
I think he's also like, oh, he's Jack. That's the thing. Right. Jack and John.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be similar for some reason.
Yeah.
Just to confuse you.
And then also because the more the movie goes along, we find out that Jack might have actually killed Sandy, because after a while she has enough of being a prostitute, basically. And you know,
obviously.
Yeah, his way of persuading her to go on with it is basically like saying, like, I'm gonna scar you up. Who's ever gonna love you looking like this? And then he kills her instead.
Do what I say or I'll kill you.
Yeah, but then he ends up killing her. We think at first.
In the vision that Ellie has.
And then Eloise,
which is where she breaks down completely.
Yeah, which is understandable because she brings John home after a Halloween party, or I guess it's a masquerade at least, but I'm guessing
it's a Halloween party.
To her flat or to her room.
Well, to her room where she's not allowed to have boys after 8:00 at night.
Yeah. Which is and the owner of the house is very strict when it comes to male visitors, which comes into play later.
Yes, she's a very nice old lady.
Yeah,
except when it comes to male visitors.
Yeah, which really explains itself in the end. It's also amazing
perfect.
writing.
And I usually like pride myself in figuring things out in movies. But this one totally threw me off. And I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it because you kept turning over and like, oh, it's
it's that one.
It's gonna be this one. That's gonna be this. And I was like, no, I don't think so. There's something else going on. I was like, oh. But anyway,
and the ending really surprised me. Actually,
yeah. So she, at this point, she has had some really horrific dreams or nightmares. Then because all her dreams are now, instead of just them hanging out in clubs, it's basically Sandy being used every night over and over again.
By creepy shadow figure men who has no faces.
Yeah, so at this point, she doesn't want to go to sleep anymore. So she starts seeing these ghosts in her waking time as well. So in the club that they're partying at, she sees Sandy, she sees the ghosts. So she's just like, let's just get out of here. I don't want to go to sleep. So they go home to her. They start to, getting
fooling around.
Yeah, fooling around. But then when she looks up, there's a mirror in her bedroom, which wasn't there
In the
before,
ceiling.
and she's not seeing herself and John. What she's seeing is Sandy and Jack, right?
Yes. And that's when she sees him with the knife, I
Yeah.
think.
And as they're about to do it, Jack murders Sandy. So she's basically having the sensation of being murdered while John is on top of her. Which
Yeah.
that whole sequence was so like it was that was
It was
that was
it
why
was so realistic, it was creepy.
yeah, and you really felt it. That's why I wrote on Twitter when I came home, like, this is the first time in a long time that I've been genuinely terrified by a movie.
Yeah.
It was so in your face.
And Thomason's acting was spot on. She could feel the knife on her throat,
Yeah.
even though she wasn't actually experiencing
Yeah,
that for
and it
real.
translated
It's
over to
oh,
us. It was one of the
perfectly.
most oppressive scenes I have ever
Yes.
witnessed. It was super creepy. So she throws John off, and he breaks a mirror, I think.
Yeah, because she like backs off into something and breaks a mirror
Yeah,
somehow.
and he's like, "What did I do? What did I do?" And she just keeps seeing herself being
And she's
murdered.
screaming.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was so disgusting.
So intense.
Yeah.
So well made.
So then she
Jesus
becomes
Christ.
obsessed with finding Sandy's killer. So
Yeah.
she starts doing. And it's kind of funny because they both sort of did like a corpse paint. They didn't really
They
want to
did
dress
like
up.
the skeleton
Yeah,
paint
yeah.
because they had black clothes on. Perfect. We don't have to do much more.
Yeah, so they just painted their faces white and black around the
Black
eyes
circles,
and
yeah.
mouth, I think. But then for the rest of the movie, because she don't have time for showers, so she just runs around with these big dark circles
Very
around her eyes,
black eye makeup.
which just makes her look even more crazy. Even when it kind of washes off, it's still there. Like you said,
Yes.
like, it just looks like really heavy eyeliner. So she looks
And I
even
mean,
more frazzled than
She's
she
been
is.
running around in rain, so her hair is all wet and like
Yeah, stripy
oh
or
my
whatever.
god, yeah.
Yes.
So when she actually goes to the cops about this murder.
Oh yeah, and they're like, "So you dreamt about a murder that took
You
place 60 years ago,
Yeah,
or
you
40 years ago?"
witnessed it
Oh,
in
60
your
years.
dreams.
She's like, "Yes." It's like, okay.
Yes, I know I sound insane, but yes. And he is alive. They're like, okay. Have you talked to a shrink?
The classic. I know you think I'm crazy, but it actually happened.
Yeah.
That's what crazy people say, lady.
And I mean, they do say that they're gonna look into it, but then she overhears the male cop laughing about it in the restroom.
Yeah, while the
While
female
the
cop
female cop
tries
is
to
like,
talk to her about it, but
we need to talk to her because she's obviously going through something. If it's actually this murder or if something else, she's going through something.
yeah. And throughout the movie, she gets like a part-time job at a bar.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish it were that easy to get jobs. I mean, you could do that in the 60s. You could just walk into a place like, I'd like a job, and it's like, okay.
Well,
But she does it in 2020, and it's like, whoa. She just walks into the bar and asks like, I see you had a help wanted sign. They're like, okay, you can work nights. Can you pour a beer? You're hired.
basically,
I'm gonna try that, but it
it's
doesn't work.
the lower level, less fancy part of the bar
Yeah.
or the pub.
Bakfickan, as we would call it in Sweden.
Yes.
But in that bar, she keeps being well, not solicited, harassed by this older man. Once again, a creepy older man who's kind of coming on to her, and she
I mean, she runs into him a few times outside as well, and he's giving these comments that are just
And the
something's not right with
the
you.
first time we see him, he steps out of a sex club and just looks
Yeah,
at her
that's
super
true.
creepily.
That's true.
That's Terrence Stamp, by the way.
Yes.
But so she becomes, even before she witnesses the murder, she is convinced that is Jack.
Yes.
And she's like, I know that the murderer is still out there. He's still alive.
I know who he is.
Yeah, she just needs to prove it.
So she confronts him.
Yeah, and that's when he starts dropping hints that that everything might not be the way she thinks it is. And you didn't pick up on it, but I did. 'Cause
I didn't really understand because he says that Alex did it.
Yeah, she says, "You killed Sandy," because she thinks that's
Yeah.
Jack. Spoilers: he wasn't Jack.
No.
Um,
I was convinced he was.
yeah, and you were supposed to be, and I was too. But then he said, "I didn't kill Sandy. Alex did." You're like, "Who's
Yeah.
Alex?"
I was like, who the fuck is Alex?
But then I was like, "Wait a minute." Sandy said her real name was Alexandra. So I was like, "That's the
Yeah.
only Alex." And she does call her. There's this montage where she has
Introduces
this
herself.
booth in the club where she meets the gentleman, quote unquote,
Yes.
that she's supposed to have sex with, and she gives a different name each time. And there's this, and the
You know,
men always
yeah.
answer with, "Really, that's a lovely name." So
And
first
she
she says,
laughs.
"Yeah, yeah," like she has to play it up for them every time, which, you know.
Of course.
So like, "Oh, what's your name then?" "Oh, I'm Sandy. I am Alexandra." She says she uses her real name once.
Yeah,
Then
she says Alexi.
Alexi,
I don't remember the other ones.
Andy. She
Sandra?
says, and I think Sandra. And then one time she says Alex, and it was just like, Alexandra, Alex. Yeah, she did. So that's when I started like, what did he mean? Alex killed Sandy. So I thought it was gonna be like a metaphorical thing, like, ooh, the happy-go-lucky Sandy was murdered, so to speak, by Alexandra. That she stopped being this happy-go-lucky person and became this, like, this
Sinister,
sinister,
whatever.
like, or like horror, not horrible person, but, you know, this down, like, beaten down by the
Yeah.
world person, basically.
Bitter, that's the word I was looking for. Just not sinister, bitter.
Which is understandable because of our
Yeah.
situation. But then out of nowhere, she follows the guy leaves. The guy
He
who
gets
thinks is Jack.
upset with her, like, accusing her of murdering someone.
Accusing him.
So he kind of, like, walks off.
Yeah. And she follows him outside the pub, where he is promptly hit by a car and dies.
Yes.
On the spot. She's like, oh shit.
Well, he starts bleeding and everyone's screaming out, "Call the ambulance."
Yeah.
And they mention then all of a sudden that, say he's a cop, they'll come faster.
Yeah.
She's like, "What do you mean a cop?
Yeah.
He's Jack. He's the
No.
pimp." They're like, no, it's Leslie. He's a cop.
Yeah. And
like, Leslie? Cop?
I love that
no.
there was at that point they never did like a callback to that.
No.
They
But you do it mentally.
They were hoping that the audience picked up on it, and I did, because in that montage of all the men asking for her name, there was one who actually asked about her more, like, why do you, and why are you doing this, basically, like,
he also, I think he said, no, that's not your real name.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she says, Alexandra, I think.
Yeah, I think so. She's like, oh, okay, Alexandra.
Yeah, and he like tries to almost like talk her out of it, and she's like,
Yeah.
"What are you a cop, basically?" And
Yeah,
I think he
she
says, yes.
"Are you a pig?"
Yeah.
No, he doesn't say anything. He just looks at her.
Right, and then leaves. Right.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to keep, and it turns out that was Leslie. He was trying to
save her, basically.
Yeah, or he was obviously working on trying to stop the fucking human trafficking that was going on in Soho.
Yeah.
And it turns out that
now that I'm thinking of it, maybe he was trying to find someone specific.
What, Jack, probably?
No, maybe he was trying to find the girl. Because they had reports of a lot of gentlemen going missing.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's probably it too.
So he might have been looking for the young lady who made a lot of gentlemen go missing.
Yeah, because he was looking for the murderer.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I didn't think of that until now, though.
I'm hoping in part...
I think it's both.
Including that, yeah, he can stop the human trafficking.
Yeah, obviously.
Get
the girl out so she won't kill people, but she won't be trafficked anymore.
Yeah. But is that before or after the library?
That is... No, that's after.
It is after, yeah. Because, then it was...
Yeah, because after that, you get back to her in class, and when she comes into class, everyone's, like, commenting on the fact that she still has a lot of black eye makeup left.
Yeah. Because it was in the library that I started having second thoughts about this, because
yes,
you have all these ghosts. They're obviously like like regular like guys. They're all dressed the same way, and they all have these like erased. You can't see their facial features.
No.
You kind of see like eye shadows where the eye holes are supposed to be, and a mouth. That's basically
And
it.
sometimes you see like faces morphing, but
Yeah.
you don't never see properly who that person would
And it's
be.
also like it almost feels like there's several like people in one.
Yeah. Because all the faces have probably blurred together, obviously.
Yeah. And when we first see them, they're very like aggressive and menacing.
Yeah.
Like almost like clawing after her. But in the library, I got the feeling that they were like trying to like reach for her, not in like trying to grab her, but like reaching out to her. That's the first time I was like,
okay.
The ghosts, and they're still menacing and scary, but there's something else going on with the ghosts. Then coupling that with the whole, Jack was actually Leslie and he was a cop, and the Alex killed Sadie. I started like questioning, like.
And you mentioned it after we saw the movie. You noticed it when she was looking through newspapers from the 60s. She was trying to find the article about Sandy's death.
Yeah, Sandy's death or any other like females being murdered.
Yeah.
Because she's thinking like Jack is obviously like it's a pattern.
Killing a bunch of girls.
Yeah, he kills them when he's done with them.
Yeah, but she's scrolling past all these stories of men disappearing.
Yeah, like family man missing in Soho, or like businessman
never returns
from and it was so I was like, that's really and then we saw the ghost trying to like reach for her. I was like, something's wrong here. And I don't remember what happens now, but
that's when she runs back to the pub and confronts Leslie.
Oh yeah, and it's after that she's basically like, I'm done with this. I'm going home. I can't stay here. So John drives her to her flat so she can pick up her stuff. So they can just go home.
And she has to sit down with her landlady
to try and get her deposit back.
I'm sorry about the mirror.
3 months in advance or something, and it wasn't
2
cheap.
months in advance and 2 months down payment. So 4 months in total.
Yeah.
So she needs 2 months back at least. Yeah. And she's like, I'm gonna pay for the mirror that we broke, obviously, and I'm really sorry to do this to you.
Yeah, because
but she wants her money back.
Usually, when she rents out to students, they can just disappear in the night and not pay for anything. Yeah, that's why she paid so much down first. So she's trying to explain this to the old lady. And what is it that? Oh yeah, no. What is it that makes her realize? Because she sees something, right?
The old lady says.
Yeah, there's something she says. Yeah,
but I don't actually remember the detail. No, she. I don't remember exactly. She figures out that something's wrong at least, and she's like, "I won't tell anyone."
Yeah.
But the landlady says, well, you won't be able to.
Yeah, because she says, there was a letter for you. So she goes through the pile of letters, and they're all addressed to Alexandra something.
I don't remember the last name.
And that's when she realizes that the landlady is Sandy.
Oh, yeah, and she's like, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
She figures out that Sandy killed Jack.
Jack didn't kill Sandy. Sandy killed Jack.
And she confesses to have killed a bunch of the men because she didn't want them to do what they did. They deserved to die.
Yeah. And she has like hinted. She's talked to the lady about these visions she had about a girl. Was there ever a girl here who lived by the name of Sandy? So
she asks if someone died up in that room.
So the old lady knows that she's on to her, like sort of. Yeah. That's why she spiked the tea she's offering her. That's why she says, you'll never be able to tell anyone. And that's really like, because I was
she's like, you have to drink your tea.
Yeah, and I just fucking knew there's just something in the tea. Don't drink it.
She only has one sip, luckily.
Yeah, that's enough to make her groggy, though.
True.
And then Sandy, the old lady, starts telling her that, after she killed Jack, she kept on soliciting men, or men soliciting her. But when she brought them up to her room, she killed them instead. And they were all horrible men. They deserved it.
Yeah.
And that's that. I'm wondering there. Are we supposed to sympathize with her?
No.
Because I understand. I'm of this mind. I understand why she did it.
Yeah.
But it's not the right thing to do.
No.
She still murdered more or less innocent men.
I mean, she murdered people. No matter how innocent or guilty they are, you are not allowed to kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Like
that goes against the law.
she obviously snapped when she murdered
Yeah.
Jack. She just kept, and then we see all the visions, and she also mentions like
Yeah.
after a while you block you erase their faces. She says like they're like ghosts to me or something like that. She
Something
said.
like that.
And that's
And
why
that's
we
why
never
we're
see her
seeing
faces
them.
because in her dreams or in the visions there are no faces on them. They're just faceless victims.
Yeah. We even get to see how Sandy buries them beneath the floor
Yeah.
planks up in that room where
Yeah,
Ellie has been sleeping.
they're beneath the floor, they're in the walls, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's when they like physically attack her through the walls and through the bed.
Yeah, because
And that's when you first hear one of the ghosts actually speak to her. You see this man who she slit his mouth, which is super gross.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Please help us, kill her."
Yeah. Well, that's after you have this dramatic scene where John obviously
John
she says
runs
to
in.
John, check on me if I'm not back in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and he comes
And
in.
he comes in and he's like, well, I'm here to check on my friend.
So of course you are. She just stabs him in the stomach.
She stabs him
Like-
while an ashtray has fallen into a pile of magazines or something, so a fire starts.
Yeah, the records. Yeah, because she
Oh,
started
records,
playing
that's the one,
records
yeah.
after Eloise plays records every day. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because it reminded her of the good old days.
yeah. Which is kind of
You
funny
know.
then that's what set her house on fire.
Yeah.
So she decides to kill Eloise to mop up any trace of
Yeah.
because even
Evidence.
because we actually found out the female cop was there to check on her
She
story.
she did a wellness check.
Yeah, when she killed her
Which,
as
you
well,
know, when
right?
someone's
We don't
no, I
see,
think she
but they-
just send her away.
Maybe it feels like they were hinting at that she killed the cop as well.
No, I think she was just mad at Eloise for like bringing the cops to her
Oh,
house.
that's-
I don't
yeah,
think she
yeah,
actually
no.
killed the cop.
Yeah, that's
because
probably
that
true.
would have raised a lot more suspicion.
Sure. But yeah,
But
so
Eloise makes her way upstairs to run away from
and that's when the
murdering
ghosts tell her,
Alexandra.
"Please kill her."
Yes.
And then, yeah,
But she doesn't though.
no, she doesn't
Eloise
kill her.
does not kill anyone.
No, because killing is wrong.
Exactly. I think that's like the end goal here. Killing is wrong no matter what they've done to you.
Yeah, like I said, and I like that that Sandy is definitely obviously a victim of like a
Sure,
horrible
yes.
crime and like a horrible fate. But I don't think
they
we're specifically, she's still, she did
No, they
something.
still tell her story as if she's someone bad.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, yes, it's all,
Or-
I'm so sad for her, and she suffered such a terrible fate. But no, she is just as terrible.
No, yeah, but it's still. I think it's still not that she kind of becomes the villain of the story, but it's a classic sad villain. Like
Yes.
it's honestly it's kind of like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah.
Like you can definitely see how it happened, but you don't sympathize with him or her. In this
No,
case.
because they went too far.
Yeah, they went too far. So another really creepy scene when all this happens. She's walking toward while the house is or smoking because they're on the top floor at this point, and she's walking towards Eloise with a knife. Like they all deserved it, and she's like, "I know," because she's so scared.
Yeah.
Super creepy, and it's just an old
Like
lady
Eloise-
walking with a knife.
She understands why she did it, obviously.
Of course, we understand why.
And
she
she's
did it.
trying everything to like, you don't have to kill me. I get it.
Yeah.
Please leave me alone.
Yeah, it's like we can talk to somebody. It's okay. So no, it's too late.
Yeah.
And I was convinced she was gonna jump out of the window,
Yes, me too. I sat there like, oh, she's
Yeah.
going.
which I'm
She's
glad
jumping.
they did because that would have been like
That would have been
silly.
too much.
Yeah. So she just sits there as the house burns.
At first, she tries to slit her own throat, which Eloise stops her from.
Yeah.
But then you have that feeling that, oh, she's gonna jump. But no, she just sits down and burns with her
Yeah,
sins.
and Eloise has to run
basically.
out of the house before it burns up and drag John out of there.
Yeah.
Um.
Which is, the happy ending, I suppose.
Well, yeah, we actually get a happy ending then because I thought it was just gonna end there, like classic quote unquote modern horror movie ending on a bad note. But no, they cut to, whatever, 6 months later or something.
Yeah.
And Eloise has, even though we thought she like quit school, she has actually finished school, or finished this year at least. And
Yeah, she's doing her end of the year project.
Yeah, where she's having her
runway show.
Her runway show. Yeah, and that's also showing that she's still, you can still appreciate the past despite, you know, the horrible stuff that happened in the past, because her designs are still inspired by the 60s, but she's added like modern touches to it.
Yeah, she did the classic I don't know what it's called actually, but it looks like a bell. I think it's a bell-shaped dress, sort of, with an A-frame. But she does modern cutouts and changes the fabrics to make it more
modern. It's a modern twist on a classic look.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'm no fashion guy, but whatever, you know. I gotta say, I don't like that shape of that bell shape, or whatever you called it.
Yeah, it's not very flattering for most people.
No, yeah, it removes any like figure. There's no shape left of it. She just looks like a Barba Papa or something.
She looks like she's wearing a tablecloth.
Yeah,
it's a very strange design.
Yeah, I never understood that kind of dress. It fits for Sandy in that scene where she walks into the club, because it's very flowy when they dance and everything. Mm-hmm. But then seeing that and the modern touches on it in the end, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite dress. No, but I'm not a fashion guy. So.
In the 60s, it was, because they had a lot of form-fitted dresses back in the 60s to specifically in this like club setting.
Yeah.
But this one is more of it's supposed to be more of a like
fancy?
Hint at the silhouette. So you, in certain lights, you see the body shape.
Yeah, because it is a very thin fabric. Yeah, of course.
But it's still supposed to be very innocent with how you technically isn't showing any shapes.
Yeah. So
it's a bit of a
subtly
secretly flirty.
yeah. But it's never my favorite kind of dress.
It did not really work with the modern touches, to be honest, because it just looks like one of those. Well, it doesn't look like something people would wear in every day. It looks like fashion that is just for the runway.
Yeah, exactly.
Which maybe is what she's supposed to do. I don't know.
I think they were going.
Depends on what the class is.
Yeah, but either way, it shows that she, and then she once again she's
brings back her natural hair color. She's not blonde anymore.
She stops looking like Sandy since it turned out Sandy was an insane murderer. So. But also the fact that she then turned her weakness, her perceived insanity into a strength. Classic hero's journey thing, that she turns her weakness into a strength. Because, at the end she still has visions of her mother, and so she has the approval of her mother, but she also sees Sandy and kind of keeping, the happy memories of Sandy alive with her fashion. Because we see Sandy in the end smiling at her through the mirror.
Yeah.
But
and they do the beep.
Yeah, the
finger thing from the trainer.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I might be misremembering this, but the music in the end, though, it's happy music, but you hear
there's a note
of a very subtly creepy note in the background of the music. She's stronger now, but she got that strength from a maniac,
Yeah, and the bad stuff never really leaves you.
Exactly. So there's a hint, a sinister little hint at the end, which I thought was so good. So a happy ending with a sinister hint. It was amazing. It's so fucking well written.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I read somewhere in a review or something that just like Hot Fuzz turned into a very classic British horror movie at the end, where it's like a cult. We talked about that when we talked about Hot Fuzz, how it goes from a cop movie, which is also kind of British, having all the Midsummer murders and everything, then turning into a cult horror movie, about a cult, not a cult horror movie, but about a cult. Someone mentioned that this too had homages to a very British subgenre of horror, and I gotta say, I don't know exactly what they're hinting at. Ghosts, or maybe it's just that I'm not that well versed in British horror. I don't know, because I don't know that much about British horror actually, other than cult stuff.
looking like at the trivia,
Yeah.
someone has said that the movie is inspired by Don't Look Now from 1973 and Repulsion from 1965. Don't
Uh,
Look Now is something about a married couple and their dead
yeah. Their
daughter.
daughter dies, and the mother is she is convinced that she is seeing their daughter like alive, but she's having visions basically.
Yeah,
I've actually never watched. What was the other one you said? Repulsion.
Repulsion.
I haven't watched Repulsion, but I know it's a Brian De Palma movie, right?
No, it's Roman
No, Roman
Polanski.
Polanski. Right. I haven't seen that one, but I'm so I can't really comment on that. But
No.
I guess there's a little bit of Don't Look Now, but Don't Look Now isn't a British movie. And Repulsion isn't a British movie either, so I don't
Nah,
know.
so I don't know.
I'm not sure what they're hinting at, but either way, I love the ending.
Yeah.
um,
And just to mention, it was the last performance of Diana Rigg, who played old
oh yeah,
Alex,
and
who,
isn't she? Yeah, she played Miss Collins.
yeah,
Alexandra Collins was her name. Yeah.
yes, that's the name.
Oh yeah, she died last year. Oh, almost
Yes.
to the date a year ago.
Yeah.
And
So
she
the
was
movie is dedicated to her and someone else, at
right.
least.
That's why I recognized her because she was in on Her Majesty's Secret Service. She's the girl, right? She's the one that James Bond actually loves. Because
Yeah,
he
that's true.
marries her in the end of that movie, and then she gets killed like 10 minutes after the marriage or the
Yeah.
wedding. Oh right. Oh, I didn't really, because I recognized her, but I mean she was so old. Sorry.
And
She
also in
was
her later years, she played Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones.
right.
Some
But
people might recognize
I
that,
never,
actually.
no, that's when she was in 2013, so I never saw her. That's the third season. I never watched that. Oh yeah, well
And also
that's
Margaret Nolan, but I can't figure out who say. Oh, she's one of. Oh, she's the barmaid
in what?
in Last Night in Soho. I think she's the lady who hires Ellie.
Oh, she's not Alexandra.
No, the other one, Margaret Nolan.
Oh,
There's two
sorry.
people,
Yeah, okay, sorry.
and I think this is the lady who hires her at the pub.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
also
Yeah.
passed away, so this is also
Oh,
in
okay,
memory.
okay. Yeah, and then the end credits, are all. It's not a scroll. It's just still images of all the people involved, which is very classic, and it's also like punctuated by pictures of Soho in the middle of the night, completely empty. There's no people in the
Yes.
picture. And that, even though it's set to happy 60s music, it's so creepy.
You know when those pictures were taken?
No.
They're actually taken during lockdown in London in
Oh, well,
modern
that
day.
makes sense, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah,
there are no
so
people
they're
outside.
actually empty because
Yeah, yeah.
no one was allowed to go out.
Yeah, and I know that was like because we try not to talk too much about the movie before we do the podcast, but I
Yeah.
just had to mention that because it is such a rare thing to see a city like a bustling metropole like that
city.
being empty. It's something
Yeah.
really creepy about it, but also kind of cool. Like I mentioned,
It's
like I've been in Stockholm because we live in Stockholm. I've been in Stockholm once when it was completely empty, or at least the area where we were.
yeah.
No people around. Not a single person except for me and my friend who was walking home from like a bar
Pub or something.
Yeah.
I've actually experienced it in London, and it's magical.
Yeah.
I mean, not those major places that they had in pictures, obviously,
No,
but
no,
like
sure.
random side streets and stuff, and it's just you can hear the city, but it's so quiet, and it's just it's magical. And as we mentioned when we left, we were like, we should go to a pub.
Yeah.
A lot of the movie takes place in that pub where she has a job, and
yeah.
it just like it feels so homey and nice, even though it has so much sinister backstory
Yeah.
in it. It's
Um
just
and that's also like it's just he really captured like I don't think I never was in Soho when I was in London.
no.
But I was in Camden and I was in like I was in Piccadilly
Yeah.
Circus and those parts. But it's still London and they really
Captured the essence.
perfectly captured the feeling of London at night.
Yeah,
Um
definitely.
yeah, And that's something I gotta say also, because something he did. The movie, when she arrives, early in the movie, when she arrives in the city, she arrives by train, which I also did, because I landed at Stansted. So there's this long train ride from Stansted actually into London, and I'm not sure we were traveling on the same tracks, but it was the same thing. Like, first around like way outside of the city, it's basically like not farmlands, but it's flat. It's like grass, and you see some trees. But then, like, the suburbs of London almost looks like some like Middle European like ghetto almost. It looks like it's
they're very concrete.
Oh, just a bunch of concrete and like empty industrial areas. Yeah. And then you come into London, it's like, oh, look, here's this modern city. And it looked exactly the same when she came into the city. I was like, oh my, I've seen this.
I've done that.
Yeah, I've done this. And capturing that part of a city, like, and even when he like showed the tour, when she takes a taxi through Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah.
He actually managed to make those like touristy spots that we've seen 100 times in movies feel exciting, because this was the first time she finally got to see London.
You felt the same feeling she felt, the same excitement she had of actually finally being in London and seeing it. Oh, and she was once when she was little, but
but she barely remembers. Once it's like a dream. She's like in a dream when she comes into London. Yeah.
Even better also when you see it through the 60s version.
Oh yeah.
You see Piccadilly as well, and it's just as magical.
Yeah. But he I'm no expert, but I've been in London on a non-touristy trip where I actually got to go around and experience the city for a few days.
Yeah.
And I guess you can, because you lived in the city for like 9 months or something.
Yeah.
So he captured the feeling of London
definitely
perfectly.
Yes. It felt like, I think we said it just as we left. We were like, okay, so we need to go back to London and go back
to London. It's such a cool city. Yeah.
And I haven't been in so many years now, so I'm actually anxious to go there almost.
I was there in 2015. That's the only time I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
obviously the way we're talking about just the feeling we get from the movie, how we miss a city we haven't been in years and you've barely visited.
Yeah.
It captures so much of the heart and soul of the place and more than just the story.
Yeah.
You get all the other stories all around them.
Yeah.
I don't know how you make a movie like that. Yeah, so I've never had another movie give me this sensation.
Even though it's a movie about the dark side of like London and the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
It also like manages to be a love letter to that era of London and to London itself.
Yeah.
So, it's so fucking good. The more we talk about it, the more do I love it.
Yes.
Like I said though, like I said in the beginning, and I still hold to that. I still miss that little bit of something. I miss that Simon Pegg ingredient in the script.
I do not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to the movies that, because like I said before, then maybe it's just that I'm judging two very different movies against each other. But it's because it's an Edgar Wright movie, and his first 3 movies were so permutated by that feeling. It's like, that's missing in his other movies. But other than that, fucking good.
This is his first major production that is female-led, which is very different.
Oh, yeah.
But still, it's only just his 6th big movie.
Yeah.
So, if he just continues doing this and more and better, just imagine what he will be able to do in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think even though my favorite movie is probably still Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, I'm not sure which one. They're so neck and neck. But like on a technical level, and like not technical, but technically this is a better made movie than those two. Like he is constantly like evolving as a director. It's just that I have, of course, my personal favorite, but I can definitely
Yeah.
recognize that this is probably his best movie.
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, yes, maybe.
It is.
I'm not sure.
It is.
Okay. So yeah, I am. And I was gonna say, I hope it doesn't take 3 years to. No, you know what? Take your time, dude.
Yes.
Yes, please. Because if that's what it takes, I'm willing to wait for your next movie. I'll just rewatch this again because I definitely
Yes,
want to watch it again.
definitely. But I mean, you keep in mind, it has horror in it, so it's not for everyone. It's
No,
just,
and I will say that this is the first of his movies that it's not a casual watch. It's not
No.
like Shaun of the Dead or even like Baby Driver that you can just pop in and like, I'm just gonna watch it, whatever. No, it's very, very like creepy, scary, oppressive at times. So it
Yeah.
is something you might like. You're not just gonna watch it on a lazy afternoon, you know. No. And that's not to its detriment. I'm just saying.
It's just like, I will not be able to make my boyfriend watch this because he hates horror.
Yeah,
and he will. This is Pan.
Yeah. No disrespect, but he's kind of wimpy when it comes to horror movies.
Yes,
This one is gonna scare him to death.
Yes. He won't be able to sleep for
No,
weeks.
yeah. And that's another thing we should mention really quickly, because we've been going on for quite a while here. It's definitely a proper horror movie without any jump scares. There might be one.
There might be one.
Because, I mean,
when you're not
jump
prepared for, like, the arms coming out of the floor or something.
Oh, yeah. But other than that, it is...
It's not like a popcorn jump scare.
No.
It's a genuine good jump scare, which is supposed to be there and it works.
Yeah, and I mean, in general, it's a genuinely scary movie. It's a genuinely... This is... Honestly, I'd say that this might become a horror classic in the future if enough people watch it.
Yes.
Like,
it should be.
This is up there in terms of how they handle horror. You know, that creeping, oppressive fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there with like The Exorcist or like Alien in how they handle horror. Like, it's good horror. So we're really singing its praises here. But it is that fucking
true.
good. Yeah, it is that
There's
fucking good.
There's nothing to complain about,
No,
really.
yeah.
And I was thinking about it during the week when I was amping up to having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Thinking back of what we've talked about the last year or so, because we are reaching the end of the year.
Yes.
I think I found my two like main movies that I'm going to recommend to people and that I might say are actually my new favorites. Scream and Fast and Furious will always be top tier for me.
Yeah, it's
because sentimental value.
You know, your favorites, but the best movies.
The best movies I've seen, probably in my life, are this one,
Really?
Last Night in Soho, and also The Kid Detective.
Really?
Which we've talked about.
Yeah, because I was gonna say Kid Detective is my other like big favorite this year. Wow,
And I'm not kidding.
Ever? Because I was gonna say this year. Maybe the last few years, this one, but okay.
When I'm thinking about it,
sure,
I
man.
cannot mention another movie that it has
I'm not gonna argue.
affected me as much as this has. Like I said, it gave me emotions that I barely knew I had. It made me remember things that I haven't experienced in years.
Yeah.
While still portraying a very scary but very intriguing. It was intriguing. Is that the word? Yeah, intriguing story.
Yeah.
And I just loved it.
Well, I'm very glad to hear. I mean, that's kind of why I made you do this podcast with me to elevate your taste in movies, and it's obviously worked since.
Yes.
Like your first choice is an Edgar Wright movie, and your second choice is this quirky little indie movie with a dark subtext.
Yeah.
And also, please go back and listen to our Kid
Check out
Detective
that
episode. Or
First
of all, watch the Kid Detective. Amazing
check
movie.
out
Then listen to our episode. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'm really glad you enjoyed it so much. And
we'll see what the future brings, though.
And that's also because we can talk a lot. We people always talk about, oh my god, this movie is so great. It's probably my favorite movie of the year. But sometimes your favorite movie of the year is not the one you remember. Like sometimes you forget it. But it really goes to show, because I think we talked about The Kid Detective in like February.
I think so, yeah.
And I haven't seen it since, but yeah,
No.
I still think of that movie from time to time. It was
Oh
so
yeah, I
fucking
still remember
good.
specific scenes
Yeah.
to mind.
That's-
Which is weird. When I see the color yellow, I actually think of it sometimes.
Oh yeah. There's
Yellow is a bit of
like
a
a
theme.
theme in that movie. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh my, yeah. Oh, now I'm thinking of The Kid Detective again.
I watched that.
Oh yeah. But okay,
But yeah.
that's gonna have to be it. Let's round it off there, because we just hit the 90-minute mark.
Woo, sorry
Um,
about that.
No, I mean, I gotta say though, we didn't really repeat ourselves too much now.
No,
we had
except
a pretty...
for saying that it's great 100 times.
Well, yeah. Well,
it is.
because it is. It's so, and I gotta say, before we started the spoiler, spoiler whatever part, I said this was like a strong 8, maybe even a 9. Now, having actually discussed it properly, it's a definite 9.
Yeah.
I reserve 10s for like the immortal classics, and I'm not sure this is yet. You can't really judge it because we just saw it a week ago. But dude, is it close to a 10? Oh my god!
Definitely.
Oh my god! I really want to see it again.
Strong 9.
Oh yeah, this is the strongest 9 ever, dude. strong contender for my movie of the year.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Please, even if you've listened to this part, please check out Last Night in Soho. It's so fucking good. I'm just gonna look into the camera here. Thank you, Edgar Wright, for making this amazing movie. I wish we had more movies like this in mainstream cinema. Quickly, just another thing. This wasn't even like a film festival movie or anything. This was in the mainstream cinemas with ads on TV and the internet and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it is in film festivals as well.
But... yeah, sure, but I mean, this was a mainstream release, a big release.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had this amount of quality in every release. I mean, that wouldn't be, but more of this.
I think we need to save that conversation, because that's another hour long.
Just imagine if the Marvel movies had even a 10th of the quality of this movie. Imagine. Anyway, no more Disney bashing. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Like we said, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the major podcast platforms. And if you want that extra episode where we get to talk even more about Edgar Wright movies, check out the Patreon link. For just $3 a month, you get the commentary tracks, you get the extra episode, you get all the stuff. So please check that one out. Help us continue to grow the podcast. But other than that, thank you so much once again for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. But until then, have a good one. Bye.